If you drift an AE86 or other small wheel vehicle like a Miata or an E30 or anything like that, you know how hard it is to find a good drift tire. That's why I started this video series called the Small Drift Tire Review. Well, hello there. My name is Devin. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Doctored Garage. This is where I post videos of all the cars I'm working on, the drift events I go to, and me driving my old red AE86. I recently started to help with the drift events here at the Myrtle Beach Drift Series. Make sure to check them out, Myrtle Beach Drift Series, as well as my drift team, Unsung Legends, on all the social media. Thanks! In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the highly anticipated KENDA KR20A. Last year, I hounded KENDA on every single social media source I could. I hammered all the people I knew that were connected with KENDA to say, hey, get KENDA to make me a KR20. I want a 15-inch KR20 because I run 15s and I'm not going to run 16s or 17s, any other larger wheel, because this is an 8.6. I can't fit anything else and still look good. So, the KENDA KR20A in a 15 comes in a 195/55/15. It's a 180 treadwear tire, which is way grippier than anything else I reviewed. So I'm going to go through how it drives and the tire smoke and what I think of the tire, and then at the end of the video I'll do a wrap up and compare it to the other tires I've reviewed. I'll stack them up and I'll give it a rating out of 10. I am pulling into Ocean Isle Auto Repair right now. Gonna get some new tires for drifting, brand new to the US, because we're gonna be sliding this weekend. These are allowed for me. so these are the new KENDA KR20As in a 195/55/15. They're a 180 treadwear. Man, those are super soft and grippy. So supposedly these are like the longest lasting drift tires, at least the 300 treadwear ones, which they don't make in the 15, but the 180 treadwear should be pretty good. It should slow wheel speed down and allow me to get a little more forward momentum, which should hopefully give me some longer tire life. But man, you can see how deep those tread is. The tread, yeah, you can see how deep the tread is, and that's awesome. It's soft, it's deep. Man, that should really let these tires last quite a long time. These mount pretty easy. Alright, so this is the very first run that I took with the KENDAs. Sorry the video's a little washed out, really bright, but man, you can see like I'm fighting it a little bit because I'm not used to having this much grip. That's why I grabbed like the handbrake right there. You know, these tires just carried me so much faster forward. So I kept having to speed check there to try and keep it out, and I had a hard time keeping it out sideways because of how much more grip they had. Alright, these tires are so grippy. Still have a decent amount of life. That's 2 laps. They're starting to like peel up here. On that side, let me check this side. Yeah, ooh, those are really hot. I think what I'm gonna do is let these cool down, and then once they cool off a bit, I'll go at it again. Alright, so here is my chase run against my teammate. He's in a dual cam KA24 turbo. Makes probably about 300 horsepower, built bottom end. As you can see, I've got no problem keeping up with him. He's got a lot more power than I do, but these KENDAs just had so much grip that I was pretty much constantly left foot braking, trying not to hit him. And you can see right here as I'm jabbing the brake, if you look closely at my leg there moving, so that way I can keep some distance. Real excited about that. It was awesome following him that close and having the confidence to do so. Okay, this next run, this is against an LS-powered S13. This is the #1 spot to win the competition. Double the power, double the torque, and once again, no problems keeping up. I'm on a 195. I don't know if he was on a 205 or 225. I know the tires he had weren't super great, but he could generate a lot more wheel speed than I could, and I still kept up with him pretty good. Man, these tires just were so awesome for the competition. And then here we've got the lead footage. So here's when I'm beating that same, you know, S12 Turbo K24. And he keeps up with me pretty good at first, but then I start to pull away from him a bit. Once again, there's just so much grip. It was phenomenal. Just what you'd expect out of a 180 treadwear tire, but not what I would expect out of a 15-inch tire, you know? And then this is my lead run against that same LS S13. I mean, I pull away from him pretty quick, just getting on the accelerator and just building a huge lead on him here. You can see some pretty good tire smoke from these tires too. I had a hard time getting heat in them just because they're so grippy for the little amount of power I had, but they still generated quite a good amount of smoke. Alright, so here's a little different track layout. This is up on the bank. I had to pump up the tire pressure to about 55 psi so I could spin them in third gear. And even then, it was really hard. You see I started to bog a little bit there. And then once I'm back in a second, I'm able to lay back on it and spin them no problem. But in third gear, they're just super grippy for the amount of power I have and the gearing I have. Second, no problem. Okay, let's go over a few more details about these tires. You know, obviously you saw the forward grip is fantastic. One thing I didn't really talk about was the side bite. It was also fantastic. What you'd expect out of a 180 treadwear tire. You let off the throttle and the car was straightened. So if you were gonna spin, I had the confidence to know that I could let off the throttle and it would bring the car back. It took me a little bit to get used to it. That's why at the beginning you saw me like handbrake and I'm trying to figure out what to do because I didn't quite know how the tires were gonna react. The first couple of laps, like it took like 2 laps to get them real nice and hot. And once you got some heat into them, then they were pretty much very consistent with the level of grip all the way throughout until they were bald, and at that point you could tell they're starting to drop off. Honestly, these tires gave me so much confidence as a driver that I don't think that I could have won this competition without the Kendas. Oh yeah, I took first place in the Myrtle Beach Drift Series Round 1 competition. Huge shout out to Kenda on these tires because, like I said, I don't think I could have won without them. I will probably be running these Kendas exclusively from now on, with the exception of when I pick up a couple pairs of tires to test out so I can add more to this list of 15-inch drift tires. Well, that's right, Kenda. You helped me win this competition, and I'm advertising for you. You should sponsor me. That would be really cool. But I digress. Okay, so also the other thing about so I talked about grip, and now let's talk about tire life. I got pretty comparable life out of these as I did to the Valino Greeva, which is currently the longest lasting 15-inch tire I've tested. The grip was, you know, comparable to Valino in the terms of consistency. I stopped driving these like when they got bald, but not when they were, you know, down to the cords. I still probably could have gotten 2 more laps out of them. So at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, the surface is really rough and it's really hard on tires. You know, because the actual surface is really gravelly. It's really hot here, and the course layouts are typically second gear, low vehicle speed, high wheel speed, so you just boil tires. I got to the 12 to 13 laps, and that's when I stopped, and that's when they were bald. You know, another lap would have gotten me to the point of Valino Greevas where they're down on cords. So for 180 treadwear tire, to keep up with something that's a 300 treadwear tire in terms of life is absolutely amazing. And these you can expect to be cheaper. I don't have an exact price point for these yet, but what you can expect to pay is probably going to be about $70 to $80 retail, which is cheaper than the Valinos, which are $95 a tire. The last positive thing I want to talk about on these tires is the tire wear. Absolutely fantastic, hands down best tire wear of any tire I've driven, including the Valinos. These wore perfectly smooth, and I think part of that is the size. The taller sidewall allows the tire to flex a little bit when you're cornering. So with me drifting a solid axle car, I tend to wear out one edge of the tire. These, they wore honestly like perfectly smooth across, you know, across the tire, both sides, left and right, which is fantastic. I am not used to that whatsoever. Okay, the things that maybe I didn't necessarily like are the things that maybe I wish were a little bit different. Constructive criticism, that's how you got to look at this, Kenda. The tire size, once again, I know that helped with the contact patch and the tire wear. However, the size, the 195/55, I think the sidewall is just a little tall as far as fitment wise. You know, for me to fit them I put them on the front and the rear of my car. I used to run Toyo Proxy R1Rs for steer tires, and I put the Kendas on. The Toyos were a 205/50, and the Kendas are 195/55. But somehow, the Kendas are both wider and taller than the Toyos. So I actually kind of cracked and damaged my fenders, which, it's okay, it's fiberglass work, I can fix it, but I still wasn't expecting that. And the other thing, I like the 180 tread wear. However, I think that having a 300 tread wear option in a 15-inch tire is really going to help sell them. Some of the lower powered guys, say if you got a 4A GE powered Corolla or a stock 1.6 or 1.8 powered Miata that doesn't have forced induction or anything, are probably going to have a hard time spinning these tires because of how grippy they are. You know, when I was up on the oval and doing that kind of that banked down into the infield course layout, I had the tires at 55 PSI. Now, if I was in the infield doing the normal layout, I had them at 40 to 45 PSI. So me being 200 horsepower, 150 foot-pounds of torque, that's how high I had to put them. Imagine if you're running a stock 4A GE with like maybe 120 horsepower, you're really going to have to bump those pressures up to be able to keep them spinning. So where does this stack up against the other tires I've tested? So here's the list of all these other tires I've tested here on this screen here somewhere, and their rankings. I'll give you a moment to kind of look at those. Now, at the top of the list is the Valino Greeva with an 8 out of 10, as well as the Nika Avatar with an 8 out of 10. The price point on the Nika Avatar was fantastic compared to the Valino. It was cheaper, and it didn't get quite as good a tire life, but it still was decently predictable to where it's a good seat time tire. You know, I would run these for practice and seat time and stuff like that. Whereas the Valinos I would use more in a competition setting, as well as seat time, because they still had good life, but it just was a higher price point. So those are 8 out of 10. Where does the KENDA KR20A stand in this list? I'm going to rate these a 9 out of 10. They had just as good a life as the Valino Greeva. The price point is better, honestly. You're going to expect for these to be cheaper than the Valinos, because the Valinos are 95 bucks a tire. The Kendas are going to be cheaper than that. The difficult part about these, the reason why I don't rank these at a 10 out of 10 is because the 180 tread wear is going to be difficult for a lot of people to spin, and they're difficult to get. If they're easier to get, and if they're also offered a 300 tread wear, I mean, if these were 300 tread wear, these would probably be a 10 out of 10 as far as a rear tire goes, 100%. So there you have it. There's my review of the KENDA KR20A in a 195/55/15. If you got any questions about these tires, if you want to know where to get them, or if you yourself want to buy some, make sure to put it in the comments, because Kenda will see that. At least I will try to make Kenda see that. So that way they know how many people are ready to purchase these tires, and then we can continue working with the distributors to make them more readily available to you.
I hope this helps you to decide on which tires you want to run on your small wheel drift vehicle. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and follow along for the other videos. If you want to see the other tire reviews I've done, make sure to check out my channel. I've got a few others on there, like I said, about the Valino Greeva. I also have a big long video about all the other tires that are on there. Thanks for watching.